Hi, welcome to this week's Money Health conversation. Today I want to talk about motivation. I want to talk about change. I want to talk about how all the motivation to change needs to come from inside you. It needs to be intrinsic, it can't be extrinsic. So get ready for that. It's going to be, strap yourselves in. It's going to be a wild conversation. So I'm going to start out with a joke. So a Buddhist walks up to a hot dog stand and he says, "Make me one with everything." So that's funny already. But then he gives the guy a 20 and he waits to get some money back. After a while, the hot dog vendor looks at him and says, "Change must come from within." So that's the point that I want to make today. Change has to come from within. So I'm going to start out with a story. Both of my grandparents were smokers. And everybody was back then, right? This wasn't something out of the ordinary. It's quite different today. There's a stigma, there's stereotypes, stuff around smokers. But back then, everybody smoked. So, big deal. But then research started coming out that showed smoking is bad. Smoking is going to kill you. Sooner than you would normally have otherwise died, and it's probably going to be even more painful than it would have been otherwise. So here's research, then more research comes out, and then more research comes out. So what do you think? Do you think that this evidence, this research, got my grandparents to stop smoking? No, you're right, it did not. So as more and more people were not smokers, then it was common to have colleagues and friends get up on their high horse like we all do and say, "Hey, you should be more like me. You shouldn't smoke. Haven't you seen the research?" Okay, now you got some friends telling you to not smoke, and you still got the research out there telling you to not smoke. Do you think that changed their mind? No, that didn't either. And then more and more people were not smokers, and more people were not smokers. So now we've got social pressure. Now we've got friends and colleagues that don't smoke, and we still have the research. Surely that's got to work. Nope, didn't work. So maybe there's an addiction case, right? So we're addicted to these things. So you could tell me to smoke, but that's not going to change my mind because I'm addicted. I can't stop smoking. That's a good, reasonable argument. So then my grandfather gets ill, and he quit smoking. Just like that. There wasn't any new research that came out. There wasn't any new person that came in and said, "Hey, you need to stop." With a little caveat that it was a little bit of a nudge from a doctor. But doctors were telling him not to smoke his whole life anyway, so that's not that new. A few years later, my grandma got ill. She quit immediately, too. So what's going on? The addiction must not have been strong enough. They could still quit whenever they want. The difference is they wanted to do it. My grandpa wanted to quit. My grandma wanted to quit when it was time. Okay? So nobody wants to be told what to do. We've all got stories. It could be your boss, your spouse, your friend, your teacher, anybody. Somebody says, "Hey, go do this." Your initial reaction, I mean, think about that. "Hey, go do that." Your gut says, "No, don't tell me to do that. I'm not going to do that." Well, it's going to be good for you. It's going to be good for me. It's going to be good for society. I got research. I can back it up. I can prove it. So what? I'm not going to do it. Can't remember the show. I wish I could remember where I've seen this. I feel like I've seen it more than one place. But you can see this in sitcoms and comedy movies all the time where somebody says, "Hey, you need to do whatever." And the response is, "Okay, I'm going to do it. But I'm going to do it because I want to do it. I'm not going to do it because you told me to." So that's comedy, but it highlights the fact that we have a need for autonomy as humans, and having somebody tell us to do something stifles our autonomy. So what does any of this have to do with money? Okay. Logic and facts don't work, right? If you're in a debate with somebody and you say, my God, I can't believe you could be a Republican. It's so clear that being a Democrat is the best viewpoint to have. And you're going to hear the same from the other side. I can't believe you're not a Christian. How can you be a Jew? Jews, that doesn't make any sense. Haven't you seen the logic? I can't believe you don't. Whatever it is. I'm trying to think of non-money examples besides the politics and religion. I can't think of one off the top of my head. But whatever. I can't believe you drive a foreign car. Don't you know that takes away? And then here's all your reasons. I can't believe you drive an American car for different reasons, right? Facts and logic don't work. And that's the same thing with money. At its core, personal finance is pretty simple. Don't spend more than you make. What you do spend, make sure that has some value to you. Save for your future. Invest for your future. Right? Don't take on too much debt. And these are pretty simple ideas. So why do so many of us struggle with it? It's because logic and facts don't work. You can Google any answer that you want. Should I open a Roth or a traditional IRA? Okay, Google it. Right? But getting yourself to actually want to open those accounts is a whole different story. So this is kind of the difference between traditional financial planning and financial coaching too. If your financial planning is the spreadsheets and the calculators, here's what you do, here's what you need to do, here's how you do it. And coaching is training your brain and rewiring your brain to actually want to do it, to give you more success in actually doing it. That motivation needs to come from you. And one way to do this is to use some deep imagination exercises. And so kind of sit down and think about, you can meditate, pray, whatever works for you, or just think. What do you want out of life? What kind of life do you want? What is your money for? In an ideal world, how would you live? And think about what you value. Think about what you don't value. And if you can try to think about this future you, think about ideal you, that's going to start to change kind of what you want to do and why you might want to do it. Those are important. But you have to want to change. You have to stop. That came out wrong. You have to want to stop spending money every time you're stressed out. That was me back in college. You have to stop taking the credit cards to the mall. You have to start sending those checks in to your IRA company. You have to fill out the form to get the contributions increased in your 401k. You have to want to do those things. It's not enough to just know that you have to. And it's not enough to sit down with your family and say, hey, you need to do this. I can't believe you haven't done it. Don't you know you need to open that 401k? Don't you know you should use an HSA? Don't you know you should do this? I can't believe you're not doing that. That's not going to work. And actually, it's going to make it harder for people to do it. Because if you tell them to do something, even though they already know that, their natural reaction is to say, I'm not going to do it. So think about what you want out of life and think about what your life would look like in the future. Try to put yourself in future you's shoes. And by doing that, you can try to understand what's important to you, and then you can back into the steps you need to take in order to get there. And I think that should help you kind of change your motivation. Intrinsic motivation comes from inside you. Intrinsic motivation is very, very powerful. Extrinsic motivation doesn't work at all. So try to get some intrinsic motivation. Let me know how it works.